Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Fan Frenzy podcast. I'm your host, Chris Borgia, alongside co hosts Ben Lotman, Gabe Layden. Today's going to be a long episode. We got a lot of Philly to talk about. We're going to go towards the end, talk about some March Madness. So it's going to be a long, fun show today. How are we feeling today, guys?
Yeah, kind of upset still. Still recovering from my Blue Devils choking a 9-point lead. Still trying to recover from that. Also trying to recover
Respect.
from the fact that the Phillies lost and I was at the game yesterday, so and the weather sucks. Just everything, nothing's going well for me right now, but excited
Mm-hmm.
for the episode.
What about you, Gabe?
I'm excited for the episode as well. I did come in last place in my bracket challenge, which I mean,
Ah,
listen, I can make the argument it's luck based to an extent. I watch more basketball than maybe like 75% of the people in the bracket challenge, so I feel like there's a lot of luck going on there. Here's a quick question for the chat though, or for the comment section. Should there be a punishment for last place in bracket challenges, or should that just be like a fantasy football type thing? Because
Mm.
there's some debate around that, I feel like.
I think
Yeah,
leave it to
because
fantasy football because that's what makes fantasy football special, at least in my
it's
opinion.
it's hard. Yeah, it's hard. It's very situational. It's very situational.
Depends who loses.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, right.
exactly. If it's me, oh no, fantasy football.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
you lost. Yeah, you could do it. Before we jump into our first part, I want to say make sure you guys like, you subscribe, comment. We love all the feedback. It really helps us bolster our episodes and get better at this stuff. So let's get into it. You two know how I feel about this exact player that we're about to dive into. This is my favorite player in sports. Hassan Reddick was traded away from the Eagles. Howie Roseman, you have been on my chopping block for the past 6 days. I haven't been good mentally. I question whether I want to still be an Eagles fan from how much this hurts my soul. Um, Do you guys have any opinions before I really go on my rant here as to why this is the dumbest move they've made in recent history?
I mean, I'll get you even more riled up and
Yep.
state that my opinion is I think it was a good trade for the Philadelphia Eagles, and I think it was a smart move to make. Um, I think signing Josh Huff immediately replaces Hassan Reddick's value. I think
Bryce Huff?
the Bryce Huff, sorry, not Josh Huff. I don't want Josh Huff on my team, but anyway, Bryce Huff uh, immediately replaces the value that Hassan Reddick brought. Now, is Hassan Reddick currently a better player? Absolutely. I don't think there's any argument to say from anybody that could say that Bryce Huff is going to come in and be as good as Hassan Reddick was immediately. But Bryce Huff has that upside to get to the point where Hassan Reddick is currently. And look, the issue arose when Hassan Reddick wanted a contract extension, and the Eagles didn't feel it was a financially responsible decision to re-sign him, which I somewhat agree with. A lot of his pass rush involves his athleticism, and he's obviously going to lose a large amount of his athleticism as he gets older, unless he's a. There's very few players that don't lose that kind of athleticism when they get older, and I don't know if Hassan Reddick had that ability to adjust to losing his athleticism in his game. So I think it was a smart trade. I think they got a decent value, third round pick that's pretty semi likely to go to a second round pick. If he plays 65% of snaps and gets 10 sacks, that'll move up to a second. I think a second for an expiring Hassan Reddick is a pretty solid deal. And I think, I trust Howie with the cap. I think he's a cap genius. So I personally like the move. I understand why people are upset. He is a Temple guy, and he had some really good years here in Philadelphia, but I think it was, the right decision at the right time for the organization.
Let's hear your thoughts, Gabe, before I take the spotlight.
Yeah. It's tough because there's clearly two sides to this argument, and I think, especially in Philly, you'll hear a lot more of Chris's side than Ben's side. But at the end of the day, I hear both scenarios. for me, I look at the Eagles and take away what happened past week, what was it, 10 last year? You're a Super Bowl contender. You have the talent to compete. He's a win now type of player. Sure, his contract might be expiring. He relies a lot on his physicality, but he's a player that is an all-pro right now. He's definitely a Pro Bowler every single season. Like, why not just keep him? I mean, if he walks, what would it be next year? Or
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So like if he walks next year, but you win a Super Bowl this year, then it's probably worth it. I think you probably keep him, but at the same time, like if that conditional third does become a second, like it's not a bad trade. Personally, I would probably keep him though because you do have a win now style roster, and I think you can win a Super Bowl with him. But not a bad trade.
All right. We know how I feel. You see the Keller Green jersey in the back. This is my signed Temple hat, as you can see, number 7. All right. Howie, this was really, really, really stupid. There are 2 players in the NFL with 4 seasons with 10 plus consecutive sacks, and it is him and Myles Garrett. Take a look at the year 2022 when the Eagles went to the Super Bowl. How many guys on that defense had 10 plus sacks, Ben?
I mean, I'm assuming 1 based on the point you're trying to make.
No. When they went to the Super Bowl, how many guys had sacks?
I think
like
it
10
was
plus
3.
sacks.
I
It
think it
was
was
him,
3.
Cox, BG, and Sweat.
Okay, so 4. Yeah. Okay,
And then they had CJ, who led the league in picks at the time, right? They had a historic defense that year. I believe that was top 5 in sacks all time in a defense ever. Okay.
Yeah.
You look at Hassan's numbers that year. That was his first year with the Eagles. He ended with 17 and a half sacks, 5 forced fumbles, which I think we can all agree here. Forced fumbles is a big deal. And putting it to you this way, that year when they had the DPOY selection, it was between Chris Jones, Micah, and Aaron Donald, I think. Or no, it was Bosa. It was Bosa. Because Bosa won it that year, right? Now, if you look at their forced fumble numbers, Hassan Reddick had 3 more forced fumbles than every single one of them. He basically I think he had second highest sacks, or he either had second or first. So it was kind of crazy to me that he somehow wasn't top 3 in DPOI, especially after what he brings to the table. Because when you look at it, you didn't lose an all-pro player. You lost a leader. You lost a loyal guy. You lost a guy who wanted to get a contract done here because he likes being closer to his family here. You don't come around players that often that, want to actually stay with a team where their home is. You don't come across that a lot. You can see nowadays players are really getting moved around the league like it's nothing. And I've seen a lot of different sides on this. The best thing I've seen so far had to have been this exact quote from Philly_Laz off of Twitter. Josh Sweat over Hassan Reddick is equivalent to Tobias Harris over Jimmy Butler. Am I wrong? Tell me I'm wrong.
To be honest, if I were the GM, I just would have. If they were going to get rid of one of, I don't know. I really don't know why they kept Josh Sweat, other than the Josh Sweat fan club Instagram account. I think it's funny.
They're weird. Those guys are weird. I ever since this trade, I have became the number 1 Josh Sweat hater because I truly believe he put on Instagram saying, "Sorry guys, I'm going. I appreciate you all." How does that change in the matter of days to where Hassan's now the one out the door and not Sweat? When I put it to you this way, Sweat was drafted late for a reason. He had one good year, which was 2022, when the entire defense was good. He's not good unless he has another elite guy beside him who carries the workload. What happened last year when Hassan tried all he could do and you didn't get to the quarterback. You were actually awful. I don't think Josh Sweat is worth it. I think we should have, if anything, you should have picked up the phone and you should have called a team like Arizona and said, yo, we'll give you a 4th-round pick. Just take on Bradbury's salary. And then you should have sent Josh Sweat along with it. Be like, here's a gift. Take him. We don't want him. It's so simple. And now you're in this predicament to where you're gonna expect Bryce Huff and Josh Sweat to get to the quarterback when you had issues getting to the quarterback last year with a guy who's better than Huff. It's not gonna be that big of a difference. They're gonna be worse at getting to the quarterback. And it's obvious. Yes, your secondary might have gotten better because you got back your all-pro safety that you needed. But you're not going to be able to get to the quarterback. So guys like Mahomes, I can only imagine how many yards he's going to get on us this year. He's not going to get chased down. Jordan Davis is out of shape. Jalen Carter is the only one who seemed to try and then fell off halfway through the year. Do you really believe in this D-line? Be honest with me.
Number one, I don't think they're done adding to it. I think you're going to see a top 100 possibly pick spent on a defensive lineman. They just don't have like any depth right now, and Howie does not ever go in without having some solid depth pieces. So I think they're going to get another depth piece. But with that being said, I do agree with you to the point that I don't really understand if they were picking between Josh Sweat and Hassan Reddick, why they picked Josh Sweat, even though his contract isn't that large for a guy of his caliber. I just don't think he's proven to me the last year or two, I guess you could say, that he's going to move into that elite level of pass rusher. And I think to win, you need an elite level pass rusher, and I don't think the Eagles have that right now. I think Jalen Carter could move into that, but I think around him, you're going to need at least, 2 guys that are solid. And Josh Sweat right now hasn't seemed very solid to me. I do think Jordan Davis, you mentioned him. I think he's kind of the X factor here. If he can get in better shape and, work on his pass rush, because run defense wise, he's fine. He's really good run defense wise, but if he can get a little bit of pass rush, so that way Jalen Carter doesn't get double teamed or even triple teamed like he was last season in the second half of the year, I think that would really help. But going back to your question, I don't think this defensive line is as good as it has been in previous seasons, but I don't think it's bad. I don't think it's bad. I think it has a ceiling to be a top, a top 10 unit. Definitely not a top 5. Somewhere between the 5 and 10 range, I think, is probably the ceiling, which I think could work out just because I really believe in the defensive secondary that we're building on the Eagles. So yeah, I mean, I think the defense could be solid, but I do think the offense is going to have to carry the load for this team to win the division.
All I kind of know is it seems like they're all over the place at the moment because I don't know if the rumor is going to be true if Justin Simmons is really going to come here. At this point, I feel like it's a lost cause. I've been hearing Isaiah Simmons to Philly. I'm okay with that. It's not the craziest player. Like he's a good player, but you got to realize, Benegade, how much they're reliant on some of these guys on the defense. If Jordan Davis doesn't develop, you're screwed. If your linebackers suck, once again, you're screwed. How do you know Devin White isn't going to be good? Is going to be good when he was benched halfway through last year. And I like the signing. You're still missing half your linebackers. You haven't re-signed Zach Cunningham. I don't know what the plan with this team is going forward. I keep seeing mock drafts all over the place. And I don't even know what they're going to pick anymore because it seems like the picks are getting crazier. I'm hearing O-line, corner. Like, I'm hearing Xavier Worthy in the first round. Like, why does that makes no sense. It makes no sense. Like, I don't get what this team is, like, planning on doing whatsoever. And I don't like this direction that it's going in. I think they're moving out of the win now and let's get young. We're not the Thunder. Yeah. We're not trying to get younger. We're trying to win now, guys. We have AJ Brown for like 2 more years till he's gonna ask for $50 million a year or some crazy ass. Like we gotta like figure this out. Like now. You lost Cox and Kelsey, you're losing your mentorship little by little, and it seems like we're just getting younger and younger, and I do not like the direction that it's going in. Any final thoughts before we move off of the Eagles and that?
Well, I'll say
Yeah.
this: if I made it seem like I kind of wanted him to stay in Philly, I'll put it this way: if you want to move him to a team that we're not going to play for another 3 to 4 years, I believe I'm all for it. I'm happy with this. I'm scared that that second rounder could turn into, or third second rounder, whatever it is, could turn into somebody really good. But if you don't have Hassan Reddick on their team, that's one less guy that we got to worry about 2 times a year. So
Yeah.
Yeah,
happy with
I
it.
my
As a Giants.
the last thing I'm gonna add is what's I'm gonna call it. So obviously he went to the Jets. They had the press conference today, and it looked really stupid. He looked so sad. He just looked really bad.
Yeah, I agree with you. He did not look like he was very happy at all, to be honest. I think I have a sneaking suspicion that his agent might have had a part to play in this. I feel like Howie wouldn't have traded him just because he's on an expiring. I feel like his agent was telling Howie like he wants way too much money, or what Howie would think is way too much money. And I feel like Hassan Reddick would have gone for a more team friendly deal. But
Yeah,
you know,
I believe so too.
that's just speculation. I don't want to put that out there as fact, but just speculation on my part.
All right. Well, that'll be it for that part. Ben, I'm gonna let you take the steering wheel here. Pick which team you want to go to next.
How about we go to the Flyers? Let's go to the Flyers real quick, just
All right.
because.
I assumed you were gonna say that. You want me to start us off?
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Ever since I went to the Flyers Panthers game where they lost, they have fallen off a cliff. You're losing to every single bad team in the book. Your penalty still sucks. Your goalies still suck. What are you doing? You're
Facts.
literally like 3 games off from going to the playoffs. Win your games. Why are you losing 5-1 to Chicago? They're awful. Like that's so stupid. That's so
Yeah.
stupid.
It's almost it's like all you can do is laugh at this point. I mean, I just don't like I don't understand what's going on with this team. Like you look at this team to get 2 weeks ago, even maybe a little further back than that, but 2 weeks ago, this team was pretty solidly in a playoff spot. I don't think anybody would have predicted that they would have fallen off the way they have. They've lost 5 straight now. Obviously, last night they had a decent result, I guess. I guess you could say it's a decent result. They got a point with 9 seconds left in the game, but you you
It's not
you look
you,
at
you
this team.
shouldn't lose directly after you go to OT, especially on the
Yeah, yeah,
momentum that they had.
yeah, and you look at this team and you ask so many different questions. I think the goalie with the new guy, he looked pretty solid last night. In net when he got put in. Which is weird that they pulled the goalie after the first period. I don't know why. He was even starting in the first place. He's looked very shaky over these last 5 games that they've lost. But you look at it and you wonder, what if they didn't make some of those trades at the deadline? What if they kept the team the way it was? Because it looks like they're missing a defenseman, and they traded one of their best defensemen of this year in Sean Walker. Now, I thought it was a good trade at the time. I thought they were going to stay in the playoffs, but you look at it, and without Sean Walker, this defensive core looks incredibly lost. I don't know if you agree with that, but to me, they look incredibly lost defensively. And then at the offensive end, you still got your guys. I mean, Tyson Forrester looks like he's going to be a top 6
He's a
forward
stud.
moving forward. Yeah, he's great. You got TK, but Sean Couturier, bro, like, what are you doing? This guy looks like this guy
Handed the
looks like he
C,
just
and then he sucked since.
yeah. This guy looks like this is his first season in the league, and he's getting the rookie treatment. Like, he just does not look the same ever. I don't think he's fully recovered from that injury. I don't know if he ever will, to be honest. It's sad to say because he was really good, Selke Trophy winner in his prime, but it's just I don't know. And look, this team probably isn't going to make the playoffs at this point. I mean, they're going to have to hope that Detroit loses games down the stretch. And look, they're gonna have to win. How many games they have left? 7 or 8? I can't remember. I think 7.
Yeah,
They're
just
gonna
about.
they're probably gonna have to win at least
And
5
guess
of
what?
those
Those
games.
last 3 games are gonna be rough.
The last game they play
It's
Washington.
yeah, but it's the Rangers, Devils, and Washington.
Yeah, the
The
Devils
last
should
3.
hopefully be a little bit easier because they'll be eliminated by that point. But
My
it,
issue here is you need Drysdale back Bailey because you saw what he changed at the penalty because they still suck. I don't know why, but they cannot score even when they're up a guy. It doesn't make sense. And you're relying on these goalies that you kind of threw into a bad predicament because I feel like Fedotov's going to be good. I think he's going to be good because of his size. I mean, you're a 6'8" goalie. He's a really big dude. He's the biggest goalie in NHL history. So, you kind of put him in a bad predicament in a sense because you're relying on him to really try and clinch that playoff spot, and it was his first
yeah,
game. It's the
yeah,
same with Harrison. Harrison was only a rookie last year, so it's kind of difficult where they're at. I
yeah,
don't know if they're gonna make it. I hope they do because that's all we really want. Is just we don't care if you lose in the first round. We just want playoffs. We want playoff hockey
yeah,
back in Philly.
yeah. I will. My last point I wanted to make is the fact that we're having this conversation about them making the playoffs. Going into this season, I thought they were going to be a bottom 3 team in the league. So I
Mm-hmm.
think, John Tortorella, deserves his
Phenomenal
roses, a
coach.
round of applause.
Phenomenal coach.
Great coach. There's been debate on how he's been handling this recently, calling out all his players. I love it personally. I think
It's deserved when you
we don't
play
see,
like
yeah,
bad. You should get
I agree.
called
I
out
think it's
for it.
deserved. I don't think it's done in modern coaching in any sport, especially at the professional level.
It's because Tortorella is
'Cause-
angry Italian man and likes to show it off.
yeah,
Yeah, but
but
he's talking like a Twitter troll though. He's calling them all soft. Like
yeah,
Yeah,
maybe
he
change up the
should.
vocabulary a little bit. Like let's be like you're still the head coach of the team. You're not some just fan on Twitter. Like you need to I don't know. Maybe you guys are right, but when you have 2 wins in your last 10, you still have a point on
Yeah, in our last 10,
Detroit and Washington, right?
we're like 5-5 in our last 10,
Yeah. So you still have a
and
point
it's
on
been a
Detroit and
losing
Washington, right?
streak.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
there's only really one way I can go, I think, from here. I don't know. But calling them soft is insane to me. I don't think I've ever seen that in any sport. Like that's some like Jose Mourinho stuff right there.
I thought it was funny. Next team, Ben, take your pick.
Let's go a little more. I think I don't know how you're gonna feel, but let's go happier for me in the Sixers. A little happier. I'm happy.
This is
I'm
Gabe's
happy.
part. I am not happy. You two Embiid reliant. You suck. All your guys
He's the
are.
league. He's the best player in the league. Of course, you're gonna be
You
MVP
can't
reliant.
even win a game. Like you can't win
Gabe,
a
don't
game
look
with
at me
your
like that, bro.
roster.
I'm looking at you like that.
Bro, the entire time Embiid's been gone, they dropped from like 4 to like 8. Like you're bad. You can't win a single game without Embiid, and it's stupid. My fault. Who's there to blame? Brett Brown. I'd rather have Tobias Harris over Jimmy Butler. You're putting us in this predicament to where we got to rely on Tyrese Maxey and Buddy Hield to win us ball games, and Kelly Oubre, who I'm a big fan of. But god damn it, the dude's been shooting 6 for like 22.
Yeah.
What is that?
Hey.
Where's the consistency? And I've seen it too with Maxey. I've seen it a lot with Maxey recently that he's taking like 30 shots and coming out with 6 points. What is that? Pass the ball at that point. Give it to Campaign. Seems like he wants to shoot more consistently than everybody on the damn team. My God.
I don't know about Campaign. I'm not a huge fan of Campaign taking shots, but anyway, I think you can look at it if you want to look at it
All
in
right,
negative.
fine. Give it to Ricky
understand.
Council. Give it to Ricky Council. He shoots
What,
consistently.
that also, I was gonna bring that up. He has not been getting minutes. He's the next Isaiah Joe, bro. He's gonna get traded to a team and become like an elite role player, and I'm just not excited for it to happen. But anyway, I'm gonna look at it more positively, just because every other sport is negative
Why?
right
What
now.
are you gonna say?
Um,
Joel Embiid's coming back.
Look, yes, Joel Embiid is coming back. We're going to be in the play-in. Just accept it. Sixers fans, we're not going to push out of the play-in. It's not going to happen.
You
We're
know
going
what
to be a
happens if
play-in
we
team.
stay as the A seed, right?
Yeah, we're going to play the Bucks in the first round when we win in the play-in tournament against the Heat. Easy. We're going to cook them.
We won't play the Bucks.
Yeah, the winner of the play-in plays the Bucks.
No, I thought they would play the 1 seed.
No, so here's how it works. So the 7-8 play each other. The winner of that game plays the 2 seed. The loser plays the winner of the 9-10 game, and the winner of that second game plays the 1 seed. So if we lose to the Heat, then we could play the Celtics.
Oh.
But I just want to say, this Sixers team has been doing the same thing for almost 5 years in a row, and I just want to see them come into the playoffs in a different manner and maybe hope for a different outcome. For once, we're going to be underdogs, and you know what? Philadelphia sports teams are only good when they're underdogs. We're never good when we're projected to win. Look at the Phillies last season; they were projected to win and they choked. Look at the Phillies 2 years ago; they were underdogs. They went to the World Series. The Eagles in 2017 went to the Super Bowl and won it. The last time the Eagles went to the Super Bowl 2 years ago, they were favorites. They lost. Philadelphia sports teams cannot win when they're favorites. It can't happen. It never will happen. This is why this is the year, bro. I'm telling you.
I'm gonna show you something. I'm gonna show you something. It's going to happen. The Flyers,
Doc Rivers,
the Flyers, and the Sixers might as well just cut their playoff hopes this year. They suck. They're both probably gonna lose in the first round if they make it. Like they suck, and you can look forward to next year when this happens. You can look forward to that next year, but you can look forward to that down the line. But like now, you suck. Scratch the season.
Why do you want Paul George?
You suck. Because every team that's won a championship has had an elite winger.
I think you guys are a little harsh on the Sixers, though.
No. Get out.
I'm not.
Get out. Get out. I don't want a 35-year-old who blew both his ACLs and is going to get 13 points a night. Get out. No.
Klay Thompson is absurd. I think
that is absurd.
I'm a little more hopeful for the Sixers than you guys are a little bit.
I am hopeful too. Don't put the words in my mouth.
Gabe, that is absurd because to be honest with you, my dad already scratched the season and I was agreeing with him, and then he was like, he doesn't know basketball too well, so he's showing me like the free agents next year. He's like, who should we look forward to? And I was like, none, because they're all 35 and suck besides Paul George. Why do I want friggin' DeMar DeRozan when he's about to be like 40?
Oh, I hate DeMar DeRozan.
Well, you don't want DeRozan, that's for sure.
DeRozan's a great player. Don't get me wrong. He's got an amazing mid-range, but I don't want Klay Thompson. Klay Thompson sucks.
This man Klay Thompson's the best player in the league, bro.
Okay, let's look at where you're at right now.
He ain't gonna leave anywhere else, anyways. He's not gonna go anywhere else. They're gonna sign him on a cheap deal, and he's gonna be like, thanks.
I think he's gonna look for money, but.
No one's gonna offer him money. No one's gonna offer him money.
Some team's gonna be stupid enough.
I think he's gonna go to Orlando. That's my prediction. But
really,
continue.
I don't think they'd want to mess up what they have right now. I think that they have their young core. I don't think they want to mess it up by.
They gotta pay Paolo soon, and they gotta pay Paolo soon, and like Franz. I think they'd rather prioritize actually keeping that core for multiple long-term deals.
So you're the 8th seed right now, right? You're only so Chicago's a game behind, or they're pretty far behind. They're like what, 4 games behind?
Yeah, we can't fall below the 8th seed.
You're not worrying about Chicago though. That's not going to happen.
No, I'm worried about the Heat though, because the Heat has beaten us in the playoffs before, so I wouldn't be shocked.
Right, but the Heat are a game ahead. The Pacers are only 3 games in front though, and you're getting Joel Embiid back most likely this week, right? I've heard rumors about tonight even maybe.
No, he's not playing tonight. He was listed as out. But
okay. Yeah, so you're going to get it back. Hopefully, fingers crossed this week. You have Mr. Regular Season Game Merchant himself, Joel Embiid, right? I think he might be able to.
Whoa.
Listen, it would be nice if we played the Bulls the last like 6-7 games of the year. He dropped 50 a night, but
Don't we all wish that we could play Chicago every game of the season? But I think that there's a shot if he comes back soon enough and the Pacers something doesn't work out for them that you could potentially move up into that six seed spot, which is absolutely essential for you guys right now. There's just like you got to face it. There's no way you're getting past Boston or Milwaukee. I
I
think if you fall in
agree.
the playoff,
I agree.
if you fall into the play-in, which is where you're at right now, but I think there's a shot of getting out of that. Your season is basically over. I think you can get two
I
games on maybe on Milwaukee, but I think Boston is just they're just so good right now that it's going to be tough to even get a game
They're
on them.
not, Ben. Don't even say they're beating
You
Milwaukee.
guys-
They're not beating Milwaukee. Don't start.
You guys are forgetting one key thing. Not saying we'll never predict we'll beat Milwaukee, but you're forgetting one key thing.
What? That they don't have
One-
Drew
one-
Holiday and that
one-
it's Damian Lillard.
One X factor. Their head coach is Doc, aka Glenn Rivers. That man cannot win a playoff. He can win one playoff series. So look, he'll probably beat the Sixers in the first round. But if anybody predicts that Bucks team to make it past the second round, they're psychos. They're psychos.
Nuh-uh.
Doc Rivers is a
Nuh-uh.
horrible coach.
Here's my
No,
question then. Do you think the inefficiencies of Damian Lillard in the playoffs and Doc Rivers' head coaching track record in the playoffs will cancel each other out because they're both so bad?
Well, see,
maybe.
it's hard because you do have Giannis, who's one of the best playoff performers in the league.
I hate
So-
Damian Lillard in the playoffs. I'm just not hopeful. I think you
That's
maybe
crazy
you have a
coming
shot
from
against
you.
Milwaukee. I like the matchup against Cleveland though. If you are able to sneak into that 6 seed spot, I like the matchup against Cleveland. I just don't like Milwaukee or
completely
Boston.
agree. I think if the Sixers make the 6th seed against Cleveland, that's a really favorable matchup. I was just looking at the schedules though, and Indiana's probably going to have to lose 5 games, and there's not really 5 games on that schedule that I could say they lose. You want me to read out the schedule for you guys so you
Go
can?
for it.
They play away at the Nets. That's an
Oof.
easy W
Win.
because the Nets stink. They play the Thunder, probably loss.
Loss.
They play the Heat. That could be a loss.
Loss.
They play at the Raptors. That should be a win.
Win.
They play at Cleveland. That's a loss. Or
Loss.
that's probably a loss. And then they play the last game of the season. They play the Hawks, which should be an easy win because they're the Hawks. So,
And the thing
although
is,
I mean,
with Indiana,
I
their
could
offense
see
is
a
so good. They
loss.
can hang 140 on any of those teams any night.
Yeah.
Their offense is just so good. So like,
Yeah.
it's tough for you guys.
yeah, the Sixers really need to win tonight.
At least we're not in
If
your
they want.
position.
Oh yeah, we don't even have a first rounder. We're like cooked. We're absolutely.
Yeah,
Oh.
I just don't I do want to shout out Gabe's team a little bit. I have no idea what your GM is doing. Why you guys didn't trade players at the deadline? Like, what are you doing?
You haven't followed
I
Ben
don't get it.
Simmons?
You don't know where you are right now if you're Brooklyn because you have Ben Simmons on that $30+ million deal, and it's like, well,
You
who really
enjoying him?
wants him? Is he worth trading? Because like we're not going to get anything in return, and maybe he still has some potential left. Mikal Bridges is not a first option, but he's going to have to be the first option. You have Cam Thomas who just chucks the ball and it somehow goes in. I call him Heiser Miller
Cam
from time to time.
Johnson.
Cam Johnson's solid, but like he's not going to be like he's not
At
going to
least you got
step up
Nick,
into a role where he's
Nick
actually
Claxton's good.
Claxton. I really like Claxton, but he just doesn't really have that offensive game to him yet. And he's a defensive monster. I think he can slow down and maybe even stop Joel Embiid with the right defensive team around him. You're not in a position to do that if you're right now. if you're
Triple
Brooklyn.
team.
You don't
Team
have-
would stop Embiid.
You know who I do like though? And Ben's gonna like this. I like Dariq Whitehead. He hasn't played at all this season really because of injuries and stuff, but I think he has some potential to him. And if he's able to stay healthy, I think he'd be a solid piece to build that Nets young core.
You guys still have DFS?
We do. And I
Sure.
think he had like a crazy streak in like the middle of the season where he scored like 20 a game for like a couple games.
Yeah,
But
he's good.
he's a solid player, but like Dorian Finney-Smith is not going to be, a game changer for your team, and that's what
Yeah.
we need so desperately. So
Yeah. Final thoughts before we move on to the last team. Like I said, you play Milwaukee, you're screwed. You play Boston, you're screwed. There's just no way around it. You're screwed.
The Sixers are winning a playoff series.
Not if you
At
start
least
against
absolutely
Milwaukee.
not.
Not if you start against Milwaukee. Don't do that.
Do you,
All right,
Ben, do you
as-
have a
everybody,
play-
come back.
As Patrick
Flip it up,
Beverly,
flip it up,
as
come
Patrick
back,
Beverly,
come back.
as Patrick
Flip it up.
Beverly will say, this is my revenge game. Belt to ASS tour is what he is going to say.
I'm sorry, but a player of Patrick Beverley's caliber cannot say this is a revenge game.
Yes, he can. Yes, he can.
say that, but he will.
Don't
say
you
something
dare.
regardless. Like he doesn't care.
Yo, listen. You know how everyone calls LeBron.
Doc Rivers could say it's a Doc Rivers revenge game. That's
Hey,
more
Ben.
reasonable. But
Ben, you know how people have been calling LeBron their sunshine? Pat Bev's my sunshine, so don't disrespect him, all right? It's my guy.
yeah.
Don't disrespect Pat Bev. It's my guy.
LeBron's the GOAT. That's why, LeBron's my sunshine.
We're not doing this. We're not doing this. We're not. We're not doing this. Moving on to the last team. The Phillies. Woohoo. I was at opening day.
I have a rant.
I was at opening day, guys. And before you say something, I have to throw it out there. Braves fans are the worst fans in sports. I've accustomed myself to it. They are the worst fans in sports, up there with Dallas and San Fran. They showed up at the stadium. One of them tried to fight me. Like, bro, you're in my house and you're gonna try and fight me? Like, go home, bro. What are you doing with your life? Because you're mad that I stood up and showed you my Bryce Harper staring down Orlando Arcia shirt when we made a good play and told you that you were in my house. That you want to try and fight me in front of your two daughters. Grow up. Seriously, grow up. They suck. Your fan base is awful. The Atlanta fans, I'm sorry, you guys suck. And to think that you guys are all this and that, come play all the time when you get knocked out again, I don't want to hear it. I mean, there's the whole thing now that all the Philly fans are like, dude, they just say anything because one of their commentators came out and they were like, oh, I bet you Philly fans booed Jesus Christ during the resurrection. What dumb stuff do you guys come up with nowadays? At least get a good comeback or something. Like, it's stupid. I hope when I go to Atlanta someday, I hope it's snowing. I hope I throw snowballs at Santa just to make him mad. just to make him mad. Be like, that's what you get for coming in my house and talking crap. I don't want to hear it. I will say this. The Strider chants from the bullpen were amazing. I was there chanting Strider. There was some people who were a little bit out of hand. I did hear the name Bonnie getting thrown around. If you know, you know. That is Spencer Strider's mother. That wasn't too nice. But yeah, other than that, it was a good game. I made some new friends. There's this one girl that I met. She's nuts. She has a Go Birds lip tat, which I thought was really funny. She's nuts. So I made some friends at the game, but I sat there through the entire game. By the way, I didn't leave and watch 9 innings of torture and suffering.
Yeah.
Thanks, bullpen, for sucking once another season. Like,
oh, you want to thank the bullpen? How about that transitions perfectly into the game I watched last night? I was at the game. Connor Brogdon, welcome.
Connor
to the
Brogdon
DFA
doesn't deserve to be on a team. He deserves to be.
No. Yes, he does.
No, he doesn't. No, he doesn't.
Yes, he does. He's going to the Chicago White Sox. Okay, he's a Chicago White Sox.
No, he doesn't deserve to be in the majors. He deserves to be in the
Chicago
single
White Sox
A.
aren't a major league team, bro. They're not a major league team, so it doesn't count.
Technically, from the rules, they are. So he doesn't deserve to go there either. He can go play overseas or wherever he chooses because he is not a good pitcher. Listen, I'm gonna throw it out there. There are 3 guys, 4, we'll say, because one of them I'm half and half. There's 4 guys that I believe are reliable throughout the bullpen. 1 being Jeff Hoffman, 2 being Alvarado, 3 Kirkering, because I think the kid has skill, and I think you got to start using him. The season started, guys. Let's start using Kirkering. He's good.
He's hurt.
Okay, my fault. And lastly, Strom, because Strom, he's on and off. He's on and off from time to time. So I think you could rely on him at certain moments when it's really needed. So I kind of like that. You got to hope that Soto can find it. Soto has been good at times, but, when you traded for him, he was an all-star, so you got to hope he gets back to that level. You got to hope that Dominguez can get back to his level in 2022. You desperately need to go out and get a closer, too. I think Clase is the perfect fit. I also really like David Bednar, though. I think either or is a perfect fit. Listen, going into this offseason, I was like, nice. We're about to get either Yamamoto or Montgomery and Josh Hader. But guess what? None of them came, and I'm okay with it because Josh Hader is going to play with the stinky Astros, and they're going to lose. And Yama Meatball sucks, so it's okay.
I can't imagine. See, if he was on the Phillies, you would not have the same tune. You would have been like, "Oh, he's going to be Rookie of the Year."
No.
But and by the way, we did say we go back to Yamamoto. His second start, he looked really good. So that's all I'm
Yeah,
saying.
and guess what? Look at
That's
Jackson Chorio's stats right now.
we
That
don't. It's
dude,
early. It's
that
early.
dude
It's
is
early.
already coming out with statements saying, "I model my game behind Julio Rodriguez and Ronald Acuna combined." That's big dog talk.
That's a crazy statement.
That's big dog
crazy.
talk.
But with that being said, I do want to go kind of two tangents I want to talk about. Number one is just to the Philly media. Guys, you have to chill out. We're talking about one game. We're not saying the season is over. We're
No, it's
5
not over.
games
They
in.
started 1-7 last year, to be fair. But
Exactly.
the batting needs to find itself too, since every one of our main guys besides Kyle Schwarber, let me throw that out there, can't hit. Turner can't hit right now. Bryce Harper can't hit right now. Nick C can't hit right now. They can't find the ball.
Bomer's been really solid as well.
The rest of the lineup's been fine. And I'm gonna throw it out there before you go on real quick. Rojas, you are a bum. You should get traded. You suck. I don't like you. Go on.
Yeah. My one buddy would not like that. He's a big Rojas guy. I don't get it. But
sucks.
With that being said, to continue what I was saying, I think the media. I mean, obviously the Philly media is always kind of over the top on certain things, but to the media and the fans that are saying the season is over, take a freaking chill pill, bro. You have to chill out. Baseball is 162 games.
They have to also
it's 4
realize.
Or 5 months.
They have to also realize our first series was against the Braves, and our second series is against the Reds, who are my sleeper team. Like they're my sleeper team.
And look.
And you're seeing it, Ben. Damn it, you're seeing it. I told you they were good. Now you're really getting smacked by it.
Ellie looked kind of bad last night.
What about Spencer Steer, huh?
Yeah, Spencer Steer's great, but you're saying Ellie is a dark horse candidate for MVP. Spencer Steer is a dark horse candidate for MVP. Let me tell you. But when I was watching that, by the way, I just want to say, I was there with my girlfriend, and it gets to 2-0, and I lean over. I'm like, Jesse, there's going to be a home run in this at bat, bro. I'm telling you, this is what happens every time. 2 pitches later, see ya, gone.
And then you left.
Yeah, and then I immediately left because I'm like, I just don't trust this team in the bottom. And honestly, they should have had bases loaded with no outs. Shout out to that ump who did not give Brandon Marsh a 3-2 count. That shit was a ball. Like it was a ball outside. I'm sorry, but anyway, I want to get back to what I was saying there. My main tangent I want to go on is spring training. Rob Thompson, and maybe this isn't just on Rob Thompson, but the Phillies organization needs to figure out how to run a proper spring training camp. Because I'm sorry,
figure out how to run a proper lineup.
4 years in a row.
It every year, and it makes no sense sometimes.
It's 4 years in a row. They've come out cold. They've had bad base running. Their star players are cold. Their pitchers, obviously, their starters have been okay so far this season, I would say, outside of Nola, who had a rough start. But the bullpen has not been great. The hitters, for the most part, especially the star hitters, have not been great.
And we have the best hitting coach in baseball. It doesn't make sense.
They haven't gotten enough reps in spring. And Bryce Harper, obviously, he's 0 for 11, I believe now. That's not going to keep up. He'll hit 35 homers. I'm 100% sure of that. He'll get hot. I'm not worried about it. He just did not have a full spring training. He was still recovering from his injury, still learning first base, other stuff like that. So didn't have a full spring training. Give it 2 weeks. This team will be back at 500 or over 500 in 2 weeks or so. The schedule is really easy after this Red series. I'm not too worried. Although they do play Pittsburgh, who Pittsburgh is 5-0 right now, looking really good. But yeah, I mean, at least we're not. At least we can say we're not the Mets, who are currently 0-5. Shout out to the Mets.
I was gonna say, like, you guys are being pretty harsh on your team, and
we are second in the NL East. I'll give them that still.
Exactly, yeah. You look at the rest of the division, with the exception of Atlanta, you got the Nats are 1-3.
Marlins are like 0-5.
The Marlins are 0-5. Like, you're gonna be okay.
Woo-hoo! Luis
rest of the
Arias,
division
you
is just
can't hit a
not there.
baseball no more, buddy. You can't find it
Yeah,
no
watch us.
more.
Just wait until we go down to Miami and get swept like we do every year. Just wait. It'll happen. It happens every year. We're cursed. We can't win in Miami. I don't know what it is. They're not even good.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
anything,
I could
Gabe?
see
What do
that.
you got to say? I interrupted you. My bad, my bad.
Hopefully the game, because they play in less than an hour tonight, and hopefully the game doesn't get postponed tomorrow because I am going to that game too. So, yeah. What do you got, Gabe?
Yeah, I was just gonna say the rest of the division basically is just not there right now. I mean, you're literally a 40th into the season, right? So I think everything will pan out. Uh, everything will even out over time. Yeah, I'm not hopeful at all for my team. We haven't even got a game yet, which is rough. But
Well, we only got one, so.
Hey,
we're not gonna. It's not gonna keep up, is what I'm saying here. So
ooh! I just changed my player of the week on the spot. I had one, but I just changed it right now. I just
Well,
changed it
then
right now.
let's get into our players of the week.
let's do it.
Yeah, I just changed. I had a different person, but I got to go Reese Hoskins.
Yes.
Reese, I love you, buddy. That slide, by the way.
I love the pick.
Those of you who don't know, he had a quote unquote dirty slide in the second base. Jeff McNeil.
Was it?
You're literally a crybaby.
Was it dirty, Gabe?
It was not dirty. There's no chance it's dirty.
Was it dirty?
I'm sorry.
Let him have his spotlight. Was it dirty?
Absolutely the fifth. I'm not gonna.
He's got to come to Jeff McNeil's defense.
Did you hear they gave Reese Hoskins a new nickname? Mets father.
Oh yeah,
Mets father.
He is, bro. I by the way, Phillies fans are saying we shouldn't have gotten rid of him. I disagree with that. It was the right time to get rid of him. But I love the guy.
I like what he brought to the locker room. That's why
I did too. I did too. But he kind of didn't really have a spot in the team anymore, just because
we couldn't afford to pay him.
We couldn't afford to pay him, and there's nowhere to hit him. Where was he going to hit? Hoskins. Hoskins.
DH Schwarber's been putting on the wheels recently. He can get back in the field.
Yeah, Schwarber had a stolen base.
Watch Schwarber when he loses 20 pounds, dude. He's speeding around those bases. He's out there getting steals.
Steal a base last night. By the way, shout out to Schwarber. He's off to a hot start. He usually doesn't get off the hot start. So shout out to him. But to continue with my player of the week, Reese Hoskins obviously had that slide. The next day went 3 for 4 with a 2-run jack. And I just thought it's always the best when the day before there's like beef. There's a certain player that does something, or a pitcher. And then the next day, it's either a pitcher, they strike out the side, or the batter hits a home run.
Yeah.
Best thing in baseball. Amazing. It's so funny.
You know, it was really good beef. Garrett and Javier Baez. I was watching some of that today. That thing was so fun to watch.
The best beef of the last 5 years is Jose Ramirez and Tim Anderson. Down goes Anderson. That's my favorite call ever. Down goes Anderson.
That's nuts.
That was so funny.
That's actually nuts.
I can't wait for the Marlins to play the Guardians. That's going to be a fun series.
Dave, who's your player of the week?
All right, my player of the week. I was between two. I'm going Heiser Miller right now, the former Temple point guard.
But you don't like him, I thought.
He could come back.
Well, he's not my good player of the week. He's just my player of the week. So the former Temple point guard announced, I think, for the second straight season that he's going to be entering the transfer portal. I know last year he got offers from SMU and I think Tulane. SMU would have been a great choice for him right now. I feel like, he would be going into the ACC, I think, next year, right? Or
there's no way he's getting an offer from SMU. By the way,
this time around, he shot 29% from 3 and 35% from the field as the centerpiece of the Owls offense. He did not have a good year. And listen, I don't mind him. I think he's an okay player.
Game winner.
He's best fit when he's the facilitator and you have Caleb Battle and Damien
away.
Dunn
the Temple,
on your team. When you have two
men's
guys,
team doesn't go to UAB, you take them away. Be honest.
I mean, yeah, he got hot, but players get hot. Bad players get hot. I'm like,
he's not a bad player, damn it.
When you
everyone sucks.
Step back threes, a couple of them are gonna go in. I'll put it that way.
Bro, he's not a bad player. Everyone sucked. I was walking to class today, and do you know that that red truck? It's like kind of right outside Ritter Hall. It kind of has like a
Yeah.
mini awning. I see Emmanuel Okpomo just standing there like this. Like, yeah, you did suck, buddy. Talk about someone who sucked. Jeez, go on.
I think that he's best fit as a facilitator for an offense when you have shooters like Dame Dunn and Caleb Battle, and those guys can also create their own shots as well. When when he came back, I'm sure Adam Fisher probably promised him that he'd be the centerpiece of the offense and that he'd have that role, which is what was so enticing about Temple University over SMU, a better team in the previous season. He came back, he didn't play well. The Owls did not play well throughout the season. They went on the miraculous run that we all talked about. But I wish him the best. I do not need to see him coming back in an Owls uniform. I think he's made it clear that he wants to go somewhere else and he wants to be that main
I,
piece. I don't think Temple, like even a school like Temple, even a mid-major like us, we're like not at that level where we can afford to have Heiser and Miller being the one that's jacking up 25 shots a game.
yeah.
Yeah,
I I I think what happened was obviously last season it's public knowledge that Adam Fisher promised him to be the star role. I think this offseason he probably went in there into Adam Fisher's office and Adam's like, sorry, bro, I can't promise you're gonna be the leader on this team because you got guys next year, you're gonna have a guy in Dylan Battie who's a really good player, 4-star.
Mhm.
You're gonna have Zion Stanford, who should be probably the best offensive player on this team. Look, this team has a lot of upside next year. I mean, you look at it, you know, uh, you got those two guys, and then you just need a center. And obviously, Jaleel White entered the transfer portal today. Which, by the way, I just want to say on this podcast, I called 3 months ago on the radio he was going to transfer to Rutgers. So if he goes to Rutgers, you guys have to call me a genius on air. But
nah.
with that being said, I think this team has a lot of upside. I think those two guys, as I just mentioned, alongside some of the other guys that they have at the guard position. I like Shane Dezzoni. He's improved a lot. We'll see if the other two kind of guys that might enter the portal come back. But
Yeah,
yeah,
quick shout out to Joe White and High Sierra. Hope you guys do wonders wherever your journey takes you next.
I really
Same
hope the
shout
best
out
for
to
Jaleel
Jordan
White, too.
McGee too, because once he makes his NFL team, I did see a prediction of a second round. I mean, sixth round pick 210 to the
he's gonna.
Eagles.
I think he is gonna get drafted. He could get drafted to the Eagles. He has a lot of athletic upside, so I do think he's gonna be a day 3 pick.
Yeah,
But if he's an undrafted free agent, he's probably gonna come to Philadelphia. So
That'd be cool.
yeah.
yeah, that'd be cool.
My
Continue that chain.
player of the week's been difficult, man. I've been all over the place trying to figure out who I want to go with. I think I might as well just go with I'm gonna go with a guy who plays on the Reds currently. I'm going with Encarnacion Strand for a specific reason.
Bro, this man is literally a Reds fan. I'm sorry if you guys are accusing me of being a Titans fan. You
No,
have to accuse this man of being a Reds
no.
fan. He
There's
like every
reasoning. There's reasoning.
he brings up the Reds almost every episode.
Bro, you don't go into a game where you're down a run with 2 outs and Will Benson comes up the bat, who's known for hitting walk-offs and stuff, and he smacks a home run to tie the game. Right? This is 2 outs. And then Encarnacion Strand comes up and smacks a second one back to back for a game winner. That doesn't happen. That does not happen. Be honest with me. That does not happen.
Hey, I mean, I feel like you should just
He
make the
had a
Cincinnati Reds
crazy
your
swing.
player of the week.
No,
You should just make the Reds because
I'm just saying that was the most
Will
exciting
Benson?
game. That was the most. No, I love Will Benson, but that was the most exciting game so far that I've seen in the MLB, which is hence the why I'm picking him. Because guess what? I would have picked maybe somebody who could have broken up the no-hitter that was thrown against the Blue Jays, but damn it, you let some random kid come out there and strike all out. And guess what? Bo Bichette didn't play, or else it would have been broken. I mean, what the hell was that?
I'm surprised you brought that up because you're a big Blue Jays guy. I'm also surprised neither of you guys brought up Juan Soto and like made fun of me because I said I didn't think Juan Soto is that good, and he's literally carrying the Yankees
No,
now. So
I said he was gonna be good, and I thought about him.
I said he wasn't
because of how good he was. The only
He's
other
been
guy I
amazing.
had thought about for my player of the week was Corbin Burns because I picked him to be Cy Young, and he's proven me right. Which is of course I always talk highly on Corbin, and he always produces for me. So Corbin Burns, if you're watching this, I love you, buddy. If you would have stayed on the
Oh yeah,
Brewers, I probably would have gotten a jersey. I still think I am leaning towards getting a jersey, but we will wait and see. You got to stay on the team for a while, and then I'll wind up buying a jersey. Um, moving on, we have our March Madness, and then the episode will be over. Um, we're down to 4 teams, guys, and they play tonight, right? It's tonight, right?
no, Saturday.
Oh, it's
I think they're
Saturday.
playing. Yeah, yeah. Today's the NIT.
Okay, I got it mixed up. My
Event
fault.
tournament,
We are down
obviously.
to UConn, NC State, Bama, and who's the other team?
Purdue.
Purdue. Yeah, Purdue. Yeah, I always forget Purdue because in my ranking, like somebody said to me, he was like, "Oh, out of the 4 teams, who would you want to see win the most and like the least?" I said for me, it would go UConn, NC State, Bama, Purdue. I don't want to watch Purdue win. If they win, I'm gonna get harassed by Liam Gianelli. I picked Purdue the last 2 years before this, and they sucked. And I feel like now when I don't pick you, you're gonna try and win. Get out of here. I don't want to. I don't want to see
Yeah,
this. I think NC State would be fun. That would definitely be really fun. But I think it's UConn's to lose. I think it's UConn's to lose.
yeah. I'm
Don't
so
shake your head, no, though. It would be fun to see NC State win with Burns,
look.
especially since Burns is now getting GMs from the NFL interested in him. Come to the Eagles. We're good at transferring players from one sport to another. You'll fit right in. Speaking of that, the Chiefs signed a rugby player. Like,
He's really fast. Of course, he's gonna be. Yeah, he's probably gonna be good. Watch him.
yeah, but he's
But
gonna be good now because of the hip drop. I got one.
yeah, dude, we could dedicate like a whole segment to the NFL's dumb rule changes. But anyway, I'm gonna be straight up. I'm really upset about the Duke game. They
You
had a
think I'm
9 point
not?
lead.
They were in my championship against UConn.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
People
But
laughed at me for that.
I'm a big Duke fan. Uh, look, I think John Shire just isn't a elite level coach. I think he got out coached in that second half. They didn't make adjustments. I don't know what their strategy was of not doubling Burns. They didn't double him. They doubled him 3 possessions. I remember I was counting.
Yeah,
They doubled him 3
Filipowski should
times.
have had another guy
Yeah.
with
And
him.
by the way, shout out to big shout out to the Duke team because the officials were against them that game. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. This is going to sound
No,
biased.
you're
I
not
promise it's
wrong
not.
though. You're not
The
wrong.
officials, the
They were
officials were
against them in
so
the
against
Houston
Duke.
game.
Yeah, the officials have been against Duke most like the last 2 games, and Duke pushed through against Houston, which Houston had lost their best player, so arguably they probably should have lost that game, but it's fine. And then this game, the officials made so many bad calls. I remember I was texting my dad towards the end of the second half when NC State was starting to run away. I was like, "Oh, bad call. Next possession. Oh, another bad call." And then the third possession in a row, I texted all caps, "Another bad call." Like it was really frustrating to watch as a basketball fan because I just don't. I feel like we can all agree that we don't like when the officials have that large of an effect on a
Yeah.
basketball game. And especially at the college level, it's so much easier for them to have an impact because of you foul out after 5 fouls and then you get in the bonus, and the bonus is such a big advantage in college. Um, but tangent aside, going to my predictions, um, which game are we doing first to predict?
Just
Which
give
which
us
one should I
your
go with
just give
first?
us your winner. Just give us your winner.
Okay. No, I want to predict the 2 games. I'm going to pick NC State to beat Purdue. I know. I'm just a hater of
I
Purdue,
like it.
honestly.
Yeah,
I think
I
Purdue's
like it.
probably going to win, but I'm gonna pick NC State
You want to
because I'm
know
a
it's
hater and yeah. And then in the other game, can I say one thing on these games? The lines on these games are absolutely atrocious. Purdue is 8.5 point favorites, and UConn, I know they've run by 20 every game, but they're at 11.5 point favorite. I'm sorry, you can't be an 11.5 point favorite in the Final Four. That's dumb. But saying that, UConn's going to win against Bama, and then they're going to cook NC State. UConn is my national champion. I picked that in my
you
bracket.
want to know
I think
something funny?
I think people are going to call this UConn team one of the best college basketball teams of all time.
You want to know something really funny? I'm gonna show this
Yeah.
video because I saw this the other day and I thought it was really funny. And it's about Purdue, and it said the same dude who just broke my bracket.
Oh no, not this, not this, not this,
Do
not
you know
this.
what this is?
Yes, yes. You don't need to show. We don't. Oh, oh. Hey, he's not doing anything wrong there, though.
No, he's not. Then you just see him just same dude who actually somehow that I didn't know pitched in high school. He was a pitcher
Dude,
in
I
high
saw
school.
that. Could you imagine? That must be the scariest thing ever, bro.
By the way,
Yeah, but he threw
before
like
we
70 miles an hour. It wasn't even that crazy.
I know,
Before-
but you see it coming down from the heavens, bro. The pitch probably came from like up here, and it comes, and then it goes like.
before you go on, I want to give just 1 second moment of silence to Vontae Davis. Rest in peace. All right, go on.
That was very random, but a good.
It wasn't
statement I had.
random. It
Yeah.
happened. He was a great player.
Yeah.
He was a great guy off the field. You got to respect it.
Yeah, shout out to him. He was a great player. Really sad news yesterday. Which, by the way, I hate when actual sports news comes out on April Fools.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
I like the Hasir Miller thing. Gabe knows
Yeah,
this. I sent it to him. I'm like, oh, I wish. And then I looked at and then somebody else posted. I was like, oh wait, it's not actually a joke. I was like, wait, what? I thought
Yeah.
because they posted it in like 1K. Like it was the most just horrible photo. And also shout out to Hasir Miller's Instagram, bro. That guy clearly does not have a social media manager because he posted like the most grainy photo ever. It was so funny. I was laughing my ass
Go
off at that.
on. So you have NC State and you have UConn.
Yeah, and then I have UConn winning it all. Honestly, pretty easily. I think they win both these games by double digits again, to be honest.
Gabe, your pick.
Before I get into that, I just want to say there's one team that Ben and I both thought should be an at-large, and they didn't get the bid. Do you remember who it was, Ben, when we were talking about it?
The Indiana State Sycamores? Yes.
The Sycamores. We got robbed of seeing Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, as they call him, right? Robbie Avila. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar spelled Cream. Abdul-Jabbar. They're hooping right now. They're in the final four of the NIT tournament they play tonight. Just want to shout out to them. I really wish we could have seen them in this year's tournament. It would have made it so much more fun. That being said, I'm rooting for them. And the actual NCAA March Madness Final Four, Bama versus UConn is an interesting game to me because Bama can score with anybody. Bama can score with anybody.
Yeah, to be honest, that's UConn.
UConn is, I don't know. I
There's
think
no
UConn already thinks that there might be some mental games going on there where UConn, they're 31-3 or 31-4, something like that this year. They already think, all right, we're going to go back to back. We got this in the bag. Bama might say not so fast. I think I might take Alabama just because they can score with anybody. You know they're going to put up like 90 points no matter who they're playing against. And UConn might just have trouble keeping up with that pace.
That's a fair point.
UConn has that around that. UConn is an all-around team, but sometimes it's just hard to keep up with the team that can shoot and score like nobody else can. I'm going to take Bama advancing to the final. I think UConn might be
against who? NC State?
I wish it was NC State. I absolutely wish it was NC State. I'm a big Zach Edey hater. How do you throw 70 miles an hour when you're 7 feet tall? That just blows my mind, but whatever. I think the stupid post hooks, they just work so well. And I hate that. And DJ Burns is what, like 6'7" or 6, maybe not 6'7", but he's like 6'10". He's just not going to be able to guard that, I don't think. Unfortunately, Zach Edey might go off again, even though he's like really not that talented. I think Bama versus Purdue in the title game, and I just can't give that title game. I can't give the title to Purdue. Like, even if they're the favorites in that game, which they probably will be, I in my right mind, I cannot have Purdue winning the championship in my predictions. I'm going Bama winning it all, which is hard to see because I'm usually a blue blood guy. I usually go with those
That'd be a horrible
typical title teams. I'm taking Bama to win it all. It's hard to see it happen, but I think it's very possible.
Yeah, big shout out to Nate Oates, by the way. I really like Nate Oates. I don't like Bama, but I like Nate Oates. He seems like a really like genuinely good guy, so shout out to him.
That sounds disgusting to me. Give me UConn and NC State in the final. I like that matchup. I think DJ Burns would have a good game against UConn. I think it's what the people want. It's like how everybody in the NFL wanted like the Ravens and the Lions in the Super Bowl. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
that's kind of how it reminds me. Obviously, I think the Ravens would have won that, but that's kind of how it reminds me in a sense. It's like, oh, really good team, one really good player, and then they just collide. I really like that. I think I'm gonna be honest. If it's Purdue and Alabama, I'm not watching it. I'm gonna be honest. I'm not watching it. I'm
But
tired of
this guy,
the.
this guy, this guy. You sound like one of our friends who said he
Yeah.
wasn't going to watch the Super Bowl when it was the Chiefs 49ers, and then he watched it anyway.
I actually did that, but I watched the SpongeBob version, like I said, because that was enjoyable.
It was kind of fun, I'm not gonna lie.
It was fun,
Right?
exactly.
It was kind of
Yeah,
fun.
bro, they were roasting people left and right on there. I forget the infamous line that they said about Mr. Krabs, but it was like really funny. It was something to do with Andy Reid being fat, and I thought it was really funny. But yeah,
Chris, you have UConn?
yeah, I do have UConn.
Yeah.
UConn versus NC State, with UConn being your back-to-back champ. Final thoughts before we close show.
Yeah, I mean, just the March Madness tournament has been fun for me because I've watched pretty much every single game. But as a general viewership, it's kind of been one of the worst ones I've ever watched. Just because
I
like
wish
there hasn't been as
Golke
many
went
upsets.
further.
Yeah, there hasn't been that many upsets as compared to usual. Every 1 and 2 seed made it to the Sweet 16, which is just like, but I think, I'm just looking forward to next year because Duke has the best recruiting class of all time, and they are
Yep.
going to be amazing, hopefully.
The
Or they're going to
others,
choke, and everybody's going to laugh at me. So there we
the
go.
other shout out that I'm gonna give before I close us out. Shout out to Golke, because guess what? You might not have a basketball career, but you're probably gonna have a job with Barstool Sports, is what it seems like is happening, and that would be pretty funny to watch them all in that room watching sports and have Jack just sitting there in the back like, yeah. That'd be pretty fun. I would actually tune in a lot more to Barstool just for him. Just for him. Gabe, any final thoughts?
Yeah, I was just gonna agree with Ben in that NC State, it's not often that you see an 11 seed in the Final Four. However, they were one that many people saw getting at least a little further than they were projected to, just because of the streak that they were on going into that, or coming out of that ACC tournament win. I would have loved to see a further run from Oakland or Yale. We didn't get it this year. We didn't have our true Cinderella team, even though you could say NC State kind of fits that narrative. But regardless, it's going to be interesting to see what happens in this Final Four. Some teams are, Bama and NC State, they're unconventional teams. You don't usually see them go that far. And Purdue is they're usually not really the underdog in these tournaments, especially the past couple of years. But we haven't seen them go this far as with Zach Edey. So I'm looking forward to the Final Four, regardless of how boring some other people may think it will be.
That's an interesting take to leave us with. But that'll be it for the show. You guys know how it is. Stay hyped, stay hungry, keep the frenzy alive, and we'll see you on the next one.